Well, hello again. Raytheon, McDonald's, General Dynamics, Rockwell, Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, British Petroleum, and Kentucky Fried Chicken are just a few of the companies that don't sponsor this channel. For reasons best known to themselves. Anyway, I thought I would... I made a bit of a fluff up in the video that... the last video that I posted, it's not much of a clip actually, it's only a 3-minute clip, and I wondered if I should just redo it and then just, you know, rejoin it together and re-upload it. But I was very tired, it was coming up to midnight, and I just wanted to get the video finished and uploaded. So when I read this out, I skipped over a line, and... nobody's commented on that, so I'm guessing that nobody made it that far into the video. But anyway, this relates to some Australians that were peddling a free energy device. Needless to say, they disappeared up their exhaust pipe because free energy is science fiction. It's twaddle. But this relates to, it doesn't exist anymore. This outfit called Lutech, but a journalist contacted these people, and this is a response that he got from them. Where is it? Subject. I'm reading through the viewfinder again, sorry about that. I'll try my best not to jump over any lines this time. Read the Lutech 1000 from John Christie, that was the guy in the video. Remember in the last video he was telling the reporter all about what his free energy generator could do, but he wasn't showing him, of course. Even though he was standing in a house and the generator was running, he told him that it could run his house. He didn't show him the generator running his house. Anyway, so this is a response to the journalist from John Christie. Hi Peter. You'll just like everybody else have to wait and see. Incidentally, we don't take people's money. We don't want it. Regards. So I think the reporter had actually asked if he could see the generator working, actually running a house for a meaningful period of time, and that sort of thing. Now, this I thought was quite funny. Because of Australia's ridiculous and draconian defamation laws, I have to, I think that should be very careful what I say here. In 2002, I wrote to the developers of what appeared to be a perpetual motion machine to offer help in assessing the device. In assessing the device, the reply I received from one of the principals of the company said the following. You can read the complete exchange here. I'll leave a link to this article below, and that's what I just read out. Hi Peter, you will just like everybody else have to wait and see. Incidentally, we don't take people's money. We don't want it. Regards. Then he said, looking, this is from some years ago of course, looking at the front page of the Lutech Australia Pty website today, I see, now remember this is the company that's peddling this device, 10 D-class shares in Lutech are now available to sophisticated investors only. Price is 100,000 Australian dollars. That's about 15 quid in real money. Actually, I'm an Australian now. I shouldn't be saying things like that, should I? So they're $100,000 each, and there's 10 of them. So that's $1 million he wants there. Application must include a letter from your accountant confirming sophisticated investor status. No, I'd never heard of this, and I jumped over a line when I read this last time, so I thought just to clarify what this is all about. The reference to sophisticated investors is a way of circumventing the legal requirement for a company to issue a prospectus if it wants to make a public offer to sell shares. A prospectus has to be approved by the relevant authorities before being issued and there are severe penalties for inaccuracies in a prospectus. As a reasonable case could be made that statements like a typical lease system is 440% over unity could be over unity could be seen as inaccurate if the reference is to something existing in the real world. It is very handy that there is a loophole in the law which might allow the promoters of such a scheme to gather $1 million, that's his $100,000 shares, without the inconvenience of having to issue a legal document saying what they want the money for. A sophisticated investor is a legal fiction. It is someone who is assumed to be capable of making investment decisions based on an independent assessment of the risk, whereas a normal investor needs to be told things like financial details and projections, scientific evidence for scientific claims, and the truth. So if you've got a letter from your accountant saying you're a sophisticated investor, legally you can, using your own judgment, you can say, yes, I've seen this running in his shed, I believe it's real, I'm happy to pay $1 million, or I'm happy to buy a share or 2 shares, you know, for a couple of $100,000, because I'm sophisticated enough to rely on my own judgment. And I don't need scientific investigations. I don't need proof the device works. So that would then let these guys out of any legal responsibility for not providing a device once you've coughed your money up. So that's what that's all about. That's so they can get $1 million without any proof whatsoever that the device works, and you know, as it obviously never could, and it's never going to. They know they're never going to have to give you money back because you're a sophisticated investor. You've bet your money on their machine. The fact that they've lied to you doesn't matter. You're a sophisticated investor. You're supposed to be able to see through that. So that's your tough luck. So I just thought I'd clarify that. I don't know whether that still stands. Certainly the company doesn't. The machine was obviously a fake. It's all disappeared. I don't know whether or not they got any money. Maybe someone was stupid enough to buy some of these shares, these $100,000 shares, and they took the money and run. Anyway, how many times do I have to say there's no such thing as free energy? It's science fiction. It's the sort of thing peddled by people that don't understand technology. They don't understand physics. You know, they read Nexus magazine. and they're not smart enough to know that Nexus magazine peddles fanciful tales. You know, none of this stuff is actually going on. They have to make it up in order to fill the magazine and to regularly publish the magazine and sell it. They have to fabricate all this bloody nonsense. Or, you know, run stories that have been fabricated by others. And they'll just tell people, well, you know, we published it in good faith. This is what we were told. You know, he said, this guy told us that, you know, he could fly to Saturn using nothing more than a couple of goldfish bowls and an old pram. Now, how are we to know that's an unrealistic claim? We're not scientists. Okay, let's have a look at some other stuff here that I thought was quite amusing. Now this, you know, Professor John Searle, he's got some sort of anti-gravity device. Back in the 60s, he made a flying disc that could do 3,500 kilometres an hour, but he seems to have forgotten how to do it. He needs your money to develop his anti-gravity device. Professor John Searle interview with Richard somebody or another. And then we've got the Searle effect generator. Picture here a flying disc. Remember, no evidence whatsoever of any flying discs. And if it worked back in the 60s, why can't we see it working today? Why does he need your development money to make his SEG? The future of energy, the Searle effect generator. He needs your money to make it work. Now, Professor John Searle, investigated by Russian scientists. So you've got another one of these props here with the rotating magnets. Of course, what it doesn't do is it's supposed to produce anti-gravity or electrical power or both. What it doesn't do, of course, is hover up off of the table, levitate up off the table and fly around and hover around the room. Doesn't do that. Doesn't generate any power. He's had 50 years of your money and nothing's happened. What an amazing surprise. Hard to believe, isn't it? And there we go again. Professor John Searle explains Newton's laws in relation to the Searle effect generator. The Searle effect is a lot like the Hutchison effect, you know, it's nonsense. Oh dear. And the 1/6 UFO built and flown 3,500 kilometres an hour by Prof John Searle, Searle electric generator, free energy magnet generator. Yes, absolute drivel, of course. Before you part with any of your money, ask for a demonstration of this thing flying around or producing energy without any cables being connected to it. These people are funny. Okay, what else we got? We've got. Oh yeah, okay. Let's have a look at Professor John Searle's biography. And there's the man himself, the Searle effect. And we find that he's born in 1932. I think he's still alive. Goes along here. Okay. So he starts... So he began work at British Rewind Electrical Repairs Limited. So he's rewinding armatures and rewinding motors. There's no university education in here. There's no academic credentials. And we have Professor Searle's working CV from 1946 onwards. Employed as an electrical apprentice at BR Rewinds, Gray's Inn Road. Tasks include stripping, rewinding, repairing all components of electric motors. 1947, he obviously wasn't very good at playing with electrics. He was employed as a trainee nurse. Then 1947, he worked for a tap manufacturer. And then he was a full-time projectionist. Wasn't that something like Bob Lazar was doing something like that, wasn't he? He was employed as an electrical and electronic fitter, Midlands Electricity Board. Worked as a relief projectionist. Employed at Handley Page as a prototype wireman on the VC10. Moved to Raycall. There's no S in Raycall. Raycall Limited, again prototype wireman. So this is not, you know, he's not a professor. He doesn't have any university qualifications. He has no PhD. He's not Dr. John Searle. It's all rubbish, absolute nonsense. But he does like to give the impression that he's a professor. I've got something else here. This is quite amusing. Oh, let's take a look at this. The Searle effect generator. What contains is the proof of... Now, the first thing to notice here is that he's wearing his Searle Airline Air Commodore uniform. See, he's got his his Searle Air Force or airline, because he flies his flying discs around, remember? Got his Air Commodore uniform on. He's got so many rings on his arms that I'm surprised he can. I'm surprised they don't go up and across the elbow. And of course, because he's a professor, we could be left in no doubt that he's a professor, because he's over his Air Commodore uniform. He's wearing his academic garb. So there we are, Professor of Armature Winding, trainee nurse, and taps. I remember he'd made some taps. Professor John Searle. Yes, he's about as real as his effect. His academic credentials are about as real as his Searle effect. Wearing his academic garb over his Searle Airlines flying disc Air Commodore uniform. Yes, okay. All right. Well, perhaps I'm laughing a little too soon, because we have here this this worthy tome. Must be true. It's in Nexus magazine. Searle's anti-gravity craft, and you can read all about it for $1.65. I suspect this is quite old, by someone with appropriately named John Thomas. Yes. Okay. So. What do we got here? The global oil conspiracy, usual sort of nonsense you get in there. Nexus magazine. Miracle plant growth from sound waves. UFO bases in Australia. Another AIDS cancer cure. Yes, it's probably Smarties, you know, M&Ms, something like that. No, in Nexus. Some other such realistic, Nobel Prize potential breakthrough. Oh dear, I don't know. All right, I think that'll do. I just wanted to clarify that, and I thought have another quick word about free energy and the Searle effect. Forget it, no such thing. He's not a professor. He's not Dr. Searle. He's got no PhD. He's got no academic credentials whatsoever. The Searle effect generator generates nothing. They can't demonstrate it. It's not an anti-gravity device. It's never been demonstrated to be flying around, floating around, producing any energy. And if he could produce flying discs that could fly at 3,500 kilometres an hour back in 1966, why can't we see them? Why haven't we seen a single video clip of any of these discs to this day actually flying, taking off and flying around? And just as a quick reminder, the other free energy device that I started with, the Lutech thing, they were going to go for the Australian Skeptics Prize. You know, if they could prove it to work, they'd get $100,000. And they decided not to bother. They decided not to bother with that. So yeah, put a line through free energy and Searle, Hutchison, and all these bloody lunatics. It's all nonsense. Okay, well, as always, thanks for watching. Only a short one, this one. And perhaps I'll catch you again.